What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, Walter Tuomi, aka Neo Defective, representing Neo Defective Gaming. I'm your late night news host. If you're anything like me, you have a 9 to 5, and with that 9 to 5 comes great power and great responsibility, such as to pay your bills, and that Wi-Fi is what enables you to pay for a failed console like Google Stadia. Okay, guys, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but that's kind of what this is. If you're familiar with the situation, Google Stadia was launched in 2019, and they just announced that they're shutting down everything in January 2023. So, anybody pretty much could have seen this coming. This wasn't something that was going to be hidden for any particular amount of time. The thing about Google Stadia is that it's way ahead of its time. But you know what? Stadia tried to give us that way too early at a time when we just don't currently have technology that's up to par that would meet the minimum standards for non-latency in gaming and not having any pretty much issues when it comes to streaming. That was the main problem when it came to using Google Stadia. If you've ever used it, you had any experience with it before, you know, if you could just read a blog, they would talk endlessly about how much latency and how many problems you would have with video games. And in games like shooters, first-person shooters, if you can't play those competitively if you have any kind of lag, especially if you're trying to play anything over Wi-Fi. The idea, the premise of it was very awesome. It was perfect in the way that they conceptualized it, but in trying to actually materialize it is where they had their downfall. Luckily, they're going to be giving refunds to anybody that purchased through the Google store. Now, granted, that's probably not a lot of people that actually purchased anything through the Google store. If they did, it's a minimum amount of recoup that they're going to be getting. And I don't like to see anybody fail, especially in an industry that I love so much, being video games and video game makers. And you just got to remember that these people have families. You don't really want to just talk ish about people because of a failed console that they're linked to. And this is just something that, if you would have read the tea leaves, you would know that this is what was going to occur. This was just something that was inevitable. There was nothing. I would say the moment that this was launched, I knew pretty much that it was destined to fail because it was a solid start, but we just weren't up to par as far as our actual land-based internet and Wi-Fi capabilities are at their current state. It just wouldn't have led to Stadia being a very successful platform. But that being said, if they would have, and this is in my opinion, if they would have started it by, say, actually creating a Google console and then transitioning into Google Stadia instead of outright trying to change the medium, such as, things like Nintendo does every now and again. They don't really try to change the medium because they're always putting out consoles, granted. But that's kind of where you want to start. You don't want to try to dance in the rain and not get wet, is what I'm trying to say. And that's essentially what Google did. But unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of layoffs, and a lot of people are going to need jobs. And these jobs, these people they have families. So let's just make sure that you give a good 10 seconds, a brief respite, moment of silence to the Google Stadia. If you've been here before, you know what it is. Stay dirty, humans.